great to join all of you. Thank you so much for being up so early. I hope you have coffee or water, orange juice, whatever it is.
Awesome. Well, hey, we're doing kind of this for the kids because I know, of course, it's early for them, so we can have them to check this out. They definitely wanted to talk to you, but of course, they're probably still in bed asleep right now. So, of course, you know me, saying no explanation needed, and so I'm going to let you, my other people, introduce yourselves.
Hi, nice to finally meet you. My name's Shelby.
Hi, Shelby. Nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm Sydney. We're really glad to have you here.
Hi, Sydney.
And I am Kennedy. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Kennedy. Nice to meet you.
Well, and Aimee, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. So my name's Aimee Arana. I'm a GM here for the business of training. So like the workout training here at Adidas. And I am clearly an American, but I'm living in Germany right now. So that's the time difference that we're dealing with right now. But I'm really excited to catch up with all of you and answer questions and get to know all of you a little bit.
Well, like I said before, I have a confession to make before we get started. Our last conversation, me and Miss Aimee, we had a little situation. I woke up that early that morning, we were talking, and she looked at me and she's like, "What is it that you're wearing?" I said, "I don't know what I'm wearing." She said, "Does it look like an Under Armour shirt you're wearing right there?" I said, "Oh yeah, I wear an Under Armour shirt." I said, "Whoops." She said, "Look, we gotta change that." I said, "I don't have an Adidas shirt to wear." She said, "We're going to have to change that because you need to wear, an Adidas shirt." I said, "Okay, gotcha." So I had no idea I was even wearing an Under Armour shirt. And so she's like, so my apologies, so now we're good. I want to make sure I had no kind of brand on days, just NHSBA. That's all I got. So.
Oh, it's so good. Did you ever get the shirts that I sent you?
I ain't got them yet. I think Nadine, she called me and told me why. But she said they should be on the way now. I think the person that's supposed to send them forgot, so she said they're on the way.
Okay, well that's so not good. But anyway, so excited to catch up.
Definitely. So I guess can you explain your role with Adidas, kind of what you do, like as far as we know what your title is, but like what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in charge of all of basically performance apparel for the company. So you think about your workout gear for what you wear on your body, running gear, football, basketball. So we have a basketball team, but we make a lot of the basics around kind of sport performance stuff. We also do all of the lifestyle stuff for fleece, the things that you would wear like to and from the game. I think I'm wearing a piece right now. So performance, kind of modern apparel, different from original. So a lot of people, most people don't know, but there's a difference between, we have two labels within the brand. One is the originals, which we call the trefoil. It looks kind of like a magnolia, the branding on there, and then the badge of sport, which is all the stuff I do, which is all that kind of performance stuff that you see on court, on athlete, for workout. So I do all of the apparel. We also do all of the accessories. So that's backpacks, socks, just like you name it. Actually, we're doing a lot of face masks right now. I also do all of kids apparel for the brand and also kids footwear. You probably just saw we have a new kids Lego collaboration coming out that is creating a lot of excitement. We do all of graphic tees for sport as well as supporting any of the licensed businesses that we do, whether that's NCAA. We do some MLS stuff in the US. So my team is really, really big. It's mostly sitting here in Germany. We have a lot of people that are sitting in the US as well. And we also have a product creation team in China. My team is all product creation. So that means they create the product, they design the product, they develop the product, and then we work really, really closely with cross-functionally with our teams that do the marketing plans that actually bring the product to market. And then we also work really closely with all of the retail teams, the wholesale teams. And so it's quite the operation. We get to talk to consumers and athletes and get great insights and ideas for products. We get to make them happen. And then we work cross-functionally with teams to actually bring those stories and products to life for consumers. So that's the easiest way to explain, what I do every day. A lot of my job involves, I would say, more like directing. I have great leaders that lead all these different pieces of the business, and my job is a little bit more strategy and communicating, advocating, working across the company, trying to get things done. Sometimes you hear about that like political landscape, and so maneuvering all of those roadblocks and, working through opportunities. That's a big part of my job and what I do every day.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and take the next question. We were curious, what's been the difference between working internationally and past jobs you've had in the U.S.?
What's the benefit? Oh gosh, that's so interesting. Most of my jobs have been in the U.S. I also did a stint in Canada when I was working for, because I worked for Nike, just to be fully transparent, for about 13 years prior to Adidas. So a big change. And most of my time was spent in the US and then some time in Canada. I think what's really interesting about being in Europe right now is, just the consumer perspective. I feel like I really understand the consumers in business and the North America region, and now really being immersed in Europe and understanding what sport means in Europe, and how you serve consumers both in the US and then Europe, and then also spending a lot of time in Asia, prior to being locked down, spending time with that consumer as well. And so I think that just the broad view of all the different consumers in each of the markets has been really, really interesting for me. And I would just say too, just given where we're at in the world right now, like living in Europe right now has just been different. Germany was really aggressive, in the beginning of kind of the lockdown and pandemic, and got the outbreak and pandemic under control a little bit better. And so I have actually been back working in the office for the last 6 months, which has been absolutely crazy that we've been actually working in the office, with really new strict guidelines in terms of how we work. But our teams in the US have been locked down in their homes for 8 months. And so, I'm definitely feeling that contrast on, the political landscape as well, and the way the governments are running kind of everything. So that's been a bit of a difference. And then I'm at a massive disadvantage because my husband and I don't speak the language, and my husband's taking a lot of classes. I haven't had some time as much, but I have to tell you, it's really, really hard. I hope that helps a little bit.
No, it helps. And you actually answered my second question. I was going to ask about how you guys have adjusted to COVID. If you have anything else to add to that, you can go ahead and do so.
Yeah, so just COVID overall, I mean, in terms of fully transforming our lives, in terms of how we work, I think if there was anything positive, because there really hasn't been, on the COVID front, it's also, just changed the way I think people are thinking about exercise and mental health and how they're taking care of themselves. And I think that's bringing a whole new element to how, us as a brand, how we're thinking about the future, because most people are working out in their homes or getting outside and very disconnected from sport. And so we've had to really kind of just think and change our mindset around how we think about the activities that consumers are doing and what they need access to. And so that's been quite interesting. It's changed me. I mean, I fully work out at home now, or going on Amazon and getting, the weights and the yoga mat and, just getting outside. It's just has completely, changed all of our lives. And I honestly believe, and a lot of the analysts are saying that it's going to change consumer behavior, I think, forever, because everybody's realized, how easily it is to integrate, the fitness and mental well-being kind of into your daily activities in your home, which is quite different.
Yes, this is quite different for everyone. I know that you briefly mentioned how you and your husband are trying to learn the language. What are some other ways that you guys have adjusted to Germany and the culture and everything that it offers?
Oh, that's so good. You know, first we've tried to fully immerse ourselves in the culture. We live out in the country in a neighborhood that I think we're the only Americans, and to be honest, like we're really loving it because people have been really welcoming to us, and knowing a little bit of English, but as we're learning a little bit of Deutsch, people have been really open-minded. And I had heard, so many people stereotype, and I had heard that, people aren't going to be very nice to you because you don't speak the language or you're learning the language. And people have been really open-minded and embracing us. And so that's been really good. But we've just tried to immerse ourselves in the traditions. We've definitely have tried to immerse ourselves locally. When we go to restaurants and stuff, we seek out to go to the local restaurants. So, we can practice learning, we can understand, like the local cuisine and get to know people, kind of being part of the community. And there's so much history here, like a lot of really, really rich history. And I think there's a lot to learn about, a lot to learn about the history here, but you think about what's gone on in this country, over the last 100 years and how much that's really changed the people of this country. It's actually pretty inspiring, because there's a lot of monuments and museums and things where you can learn a lot about what's happened here in Germany, and that part's been really interesting and really great, way beyond what I learned in school and college, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, that does definitely sounds like a great experience, and staying open-minded, that's always great as well. So earlier you kind of talked about your past jobs, and I just want to know, how did your past experiences benefit you in the role that you have in the company now?
That's such a good question to ask, and it's a good one to like think about for the future. I think first of all, in my career, I never planned anything in my career out, which most people are really like, you ask them, what do you want to do in 5 years? And they can tell you, from school, like even going to school, all I knew was sport. And I played basketball. And so I studied kinesiology. I thought, okay, my whole life is going to be spent in sport. And what I realized pretty quickly of trying to be an athletic trainer was I didn't love it. And so I started working retail just on the side and just being open-minded to a new experience. And I realized I loved retail. And so I started thinking about, I love retail, I love sport, what would make sense. And so, I decided that I wanted to go work for a sport company. And I started my first job at Nike as an intern. And it's kind of like winning the lottery, but you go as an intern, but when you have like experience both in sport or, in retail, I think those basic retail jobs and service jobs give you so much good experience that is translatable to, when you go to work for one of these big companies. But along my entire journey, I've been super, open-minded to new opportunities that were beyond what I ever thought about. My first job, I worked in, I think, kind of retail planning and doing kind of business analytics. And then a mentor of mine said, hey, have you ever thought about merchandising? And so I tried merchandising for a little bit. And then along the way, somebody said, hey, would you want to try sales? And all of those like twists and turns along the journey, it gave me like different experience that, when you get to a certain part of your career, you realize those twists and turns, help you understand, the world of the business from kind of end to end. And so I always encourage people, like, don't be scared to kind of jump into the unknown, or if somebody kind of taps you on the shoulders, like, oh, have you thought of this? Or have you tried this? And I would say, like, if it feels good, like, try it, because it gives you experience, beyond what you ever thought of. And, now I think over the last 7 years, I've been more of a general manager, which I never in a million years would have dreamed I would have done. But had I not had all those experiences and all those different little jobs, I probably wouldn't be a general manager. And so, yeah, just being open to that. I use all of that experience every day, from, my first jobs of working retail part-time and being on the sales floor, to doing kind of retail analytics, to my jobs in sales and merchandising. I just, as you were talking, I was working in a file, looking at a buy assortment that, as a GM, most people would say you would never look at that, but it's like, I did that job. I can do that job. I'm like, I actually know what I'm talking about. So it's super helpful.
I think that's really good advice. It just goes to show that if you're doing stuff to work towards a goal, nothing goes to waste, because it'll all come back around and help out in the future. I was going to ask, what got you interested in working specifically with this company?
So yeah, that's a really good question. So I made a decision like 4 years ago. I have been with Nike for 13 years, and I just, something about it just didn't feel right to me anymore. And I was like, I really want to do something different, and I needed a break a little bit from the company. And I grew up at Nike. I still love the company. There's so many great things, but for me, it just didn't feel right. And so I made a decision to go work in tech, because I thought, with all these crazy twists and turns in my career, like, why not learn tech and digital? It's the future of what every company, every brand, everybody's dealing with. So I went to go work for a retail tech company in Portland, Oregon, where I lived. And it was a little bit of a startup tech company, but they needed somebody who understood retail. And I did that for about 2 years, and I learned so much. I learned so much about digital transformation. I learned so much about technology, because I worked around all of these engineers and people with PhDs. And it was like going back to school for me. And I would come home every night so tired, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much. And, at the cusp of the 2 years, I had this like itch of, I love sport so much, and I love being closely connected, like closely connected to consumers, and talking to consumers and people like all of you. And I just had this itch. And so I got a recruiting call. And I've always admired Adidas. In fact, when I applied for Nike, I applied for Adidas at the same time, and they never called me, and Nike did. And so I make this joke that I ended up where I was supposed to be in my career, and I gained a lot of experience from the industry and from another brand to kind of bring it to life. But I love this brand. I love what it stands for. The mission of this brand is, through sports, we have the power to change lives. And I think there's no greater platform in the world today. I think music plays another role in that, but to bring people of all cultures, all human beings together, and it's a powerful platform for change as well. And so I'm super proud and excited to be part of this brand and kind of what I'm doing. So I feel like I just have this gut feeling inside that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. But the road to get here has been all over the place.
It sounds like it, but that's so interesting that you have all these experiences and it's got you to where you are now. I have another question just about Germany. You talked briefly about you and your husband adjusting to living in Germany. How is it with having family and friends back in the States?
It's really hard. So I would tell you that we came here, not knowing anybody, and being away from our family, and we don't have any children. We have 2 dogs, but we have nieces and nephews that we're really close to, and our parents. And it's been really hard. And the first 6 months I was going back and forth, because I have a team in Portland, Oregon, and a lot of my family's there. So I was seeing my friends and family, and it was good. And then COVID hit. And my husband hasn't been home to see his family in over a year. We aren't going to be able to get back, for any of the holidays this year with our family. And, along the journey, stuff is happening to the people we love and our families. And I have to tell you, if it wasn't for FaceTime, I don't know how we would be getting through this, because we miss our friends and family so much. And we've established, a community here of international people who are, from all over the world and all here. And so it's kind of a new family, but it has been really hard. And this COVID situation has made it harder. you know, I'm dealing with some family stuff right now, you know, with some health problems happening with some people really close to us. And oh my goodness, it's hard. So thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you so much for telling us.
Yeah, no problem. What other questions do you have?
Well, I guess for me is like, so what is something that you know now that you wish you would have known when you were in high school?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I mean, the first thing is this is a funny one, but the first thing is that all of everything that seems so big and so emotional um, won't matter that much in the future. You know, I think about the things about who I was. So you guys can't see me right now, but I'm a tall female, right? And it was a little bit of I had a thing about it, and it hurt my self-confidence. And what I didn't know is that, you know, being a tall female and playing sport and gaining that confidence, like I would get over all that. But it was hard for me. I was a little bit shy. I was self-conscious. I cared about everything about what everybody else thought. And it's little things like that I look back on and I'm like, I wish I could have told myself that none of that really mattered, and that it's, you know, it's about kind of who you are inside, and when you make the right choices and decisions that, you know, you'll get to a good place in life. And yeah, I wish I would have known that. And then, you know, just being open-minded in sport, you know, I really locked myself down in playing just a couple sports. And I think about how much sport has like changed my life personally. Like sport is everything about kind of who I am as a leader, how I show up at work, how I work with my peers, and, you know, just playing more sport, I think, and not locking myself in. I fully played just basketball, and I played softball, but it honestly is some of the best life lessons, and the tools that you need to carry with you as you go forward come from those experiences in sport. And so that's another thing. I never knew it. And my sister and I had very different experiences. She didn't play sport and I did. And she learned a lot from me kind of going through sport. And so I think, yeah, that's another piece that, and I know all of you are very much engaged in sport and stuff, but like dig in. You're getting so many valuable tools for your life that you'll get to carry with you, and they'll be a huge part of who you are in the future. It's actually really cool.
I guess my last question is, so when are you coming back to the U.S. so we can play some ball? Like I said, you're a ball player. I know I'm retired. Like you said, you're retired, so we need to have a shooting contest.
Oh gosh, I hope someday soon. I hope in the next 6 months. I mean, we just went into another lockdown this week. So you probably can tell that I'm at home. Yeah, we went into another lockdown, and I think we're going to be locked down now through January. So I hope as things progress with vaccines and we start getting people well, that, you know, sometime next year we'll be able to get back. But yeah, really looking forward to it. I haven't picked up a basketball literally in 6 months. So that would be really cool. And are we over time, or do I still have a little bit of time left?
You've got like 4 minutes.
Oh, I have
Yep.
4 minutes. Okay. So I guess maybe my question to all of you would be, if you had like one ask, you know, of me and thinking about the brand or kind of what we do for sport, like what would you ask me? If you had one wish that you wish we would do, or I could do in my job today, what would it be?
That's a loaded question. I don't even know where to begin.
On the spot.
I usually hear stuff about women, sport, all kinds of stuff, but I'm really open to anything you have.
Well, I have a question. You said that you majored in kinesiology, and I am pre-athletic training right now, and so I really love the sport. I really want to be involved. So, being a woman in this industry that is very male dominant, how has that been?
Oh, I don't know if I can answer that in 4 minutes, but it's, overall, I would say my experience has been pretty positive. Overall, I would say pretty positive, and I think the change women in sport, in the industry, and in athletic training as well. I think big changes and you're going to walk into something totally different that was different for me because you're so much younger than I am. But it's also been not without its struggles. There's been a lot of times where, I'm the only woman in a room of 25, and talking about sport, or you're the only woman and working on a team, in a locker room. And that had dynamics for me. And I think it's a different time. And so I think things are definitely changing, and I think we're changing representation of, not only women, but all elements of diversity. And I think that's making this world, the industry, much better. And I think we have way more to do. But I think it's making it much better. But I would tell you it's not been without struggles overall. Just being honest.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, good.
Well, Miss Aimee, we got about a minute left. Any final marks before we, I guess, end the session and hopefully wake up.
Or go back to bed, whatever. I'm not judging. But no, I just thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you. I think really exciting for me. This is the part that warms my heart. You're the future. And so any wisdom I can share, about my journey for the future that you're going to create, I think for the world, I think is anything I can do to support and help. I'm excited about the future that all of you are building, and thank you so much for the time. It was great for me, and I'm sorry I was late.
Hey, Aimee, thank you as usual. Of course, me and you'll be talking as usual, but we'll get this out to the kids, and like I said, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day, everyone.